Hello. So today's meditation is going to be focused on taking some spiritual steps forward. So we're going to start the meditation off with grounding. So everybody close your eyes, get comfortable in your seat. Sit back, put your feet on the ground, your hands facing palms up. And I want you to create a grounding cord. Just a nice thick grounding cord as wide as your seat. Send it all the way down to the center of the planet, connect it in. Allow your energy, your spirit to move into the center of your head. Just release any other people's energy, any distraction energy. Just move that on out of your head. Fill your head in with the beautiful gold energy that's yours. Then I want you to reach down and find some really comfortable earth energy for yourself and just allow that earth energy to effortlessly start flowing up through your feet and your shins and your knees and your legs, on into that first chakra and then down your grounding cord. And then bring in that cosmic energy and allow that cosmic energy to hit the top of your head. It's a little wider at first, about 4 inches, and then it narrows down at the base of your skull and just flows down the energy channels of your back. When it reaches that first chakra, it flips around, picks up a little bit of that earth energy and flows out the front of your energy channels, separates at your shoulders and goes down your shoulders and your arms and out your hands, and then the rest of it just fountains out through the top of your head and down through your aura. And next, I'm going to ask you to ground the room you're in. And just set the space and the place that you're in. You can quickly kind of hose down the walls and the ceiling with some neutral gold energy. Just clean that off real fast. And then out in front of you, create another rose, and in that rose, just put the words amusement and kindergarten and fun and clairvoyance and ease and comfortable and maybe a little bit more amusement. You can't ever get enough amusement. And make copies of that rose and just put it around the room. And fill that room in with the neutral gold energy. And own the room for yourself. Mine. This is my room. And next what we're going to do is release some distraction out of the room. Sometimes when you're moving energy, like, taking spiritual steps, sometimes other spirits can sometimes jump in and try to distract you from taking those spiritual steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to imagine little roses out in front of you. You can imagine a big movie screen and ground that screen, and on that screen just allow all the spirits that are in your space right now, the spirits without bodies, just appear like little roses on that screen. And then have your healing master and psychic surgeon step to one side, step to the left. And then we're going to ask all the other spirits in your space just to step out of the room you're in. So you can kind of create a little circle around all those other spirits and imagine a line going up to Supreme Being, to the God of your heart, and just ask the Supreme Being to move those beings out of your space. create a rose for any of that distraction in your space and explode it. Notice any distraction or pictures that are lit up in your space, and get another rose and allow this rose to be kind of like a little sticky rose or a little vacuum rose, and allow that one to just move it through your space and collect up any of those pictures that are being that are helping with that distraction energy. Collect up those pictures and send it out and explode it. Give yourself a golden sun. Now I want you to call in your healing master and psychic surgeon and ask them for just help and support while you move topics and move energy on the topics we're going to be working on in today's meditation. But just support. You're going to be releasing some energy on your own, so you don't want them to come in and give you a massive healing on it, because I don't want you to get blown out. But it's nice to have their support, and if there's something that you're not seeing or you're not getting to, then they can help you with that. And then have your healing master and psychic surgeon just stand to the side and validate yourself for getting this far in this meditation. Give yourself a golden sun of amusement. Can't ever have enough amusement. You can create a little hat that write amusement all over it and put that amusement in your space. Just put on that little cap. And out in front of you, I want you to create a rose and title that rose Religion. And I want you just to explode it. Just gonna kind of shake some pictures loose here. Release anything that's just super jagged in your space on that religion topic. So then create another rose for the religion you were raised in. And explode that. And again, you're not releasing the entire religion out of your space. You're just releasing a little bit of the energy that's kind of stimulated by that word. And next, what I want you to do is create a rose out in front of you. And in that rose, I want a rose, this time the rose is gonna just pull energy out of you. It's just, you're gonna allow any pictures about judgment or family judgment primarily, or family stories that are blocking you from taking spiritual steps and getting your own spiritual answers. So we're just doing this layer of your kind of awareness. And so just effortlessly allow any of those pictures that are blocking you from taking positive spiritual steps, from getting your own spiritual information, from connecting to the divine, all on your own. Just allow those pictures to effortlessly release into that rose. If you need an auxiliary grounding cord, you can create that. So one of the examples I like to use with that is, people of a certain generation, back in the day, for example, the Catholic Church read their masses were in Latin, and people felt like they needed to get information from a priest rather than connect to the divine on their own. So the goal with a lot of this spiritual practice that we do is just to teach you a method so you can see and you can get your own answers and you can connect to God on your own. I don't have all the answers. I'm not a guru, but I'm trying to teach you guys a method so you guys can get the answers and you can get that creative, amazing connection with God all on your own. But to get there, a lot of times you need to clean the filter. So right now, I'm just trying to help you release any judgment or stories that are saying, blocking you from manifesting that kind of connection on your own. So send that rose off, explode it. Create another rose, run that through your space, and just allow that rose to pick up anything that feels like it's coming on out, or just any tension in your body. Good. And explode that as well. Next, out in front of you, I want you to create a rose, and I want you to put in that rose, just title that rose, Judgment from Church. So sometimes the people running a church or a religious institution, they are not always perfect. These are people, and sometimes their filters are where they're at, or they're where they're at in their karmic evolution. And sometimes they have judgments about connecting to God on your own. And sometimes those judgments can get passed down. Or sometimes people just felt like they were judged by church officials. I remember when I was in high school, I had my dad got me, he insisted that I go to Bible study with him on Wednesday nights. And it's a long story that I will not get into right now because it's a little too long for this meditation. But it was funny because I questioned the youth minister, so much that I became, suddenly Bible study became kind of a fun place to be, because I was asking such good questions and creating such an interesting dialogue within that. But then I made the soccer team, which was super exciting for me. And my youth minister told me that I was putting soccer in front of God and God would not be happy. So I, of course, thought that was a bunch of hogwash and was like, I don't think God cares that I am on the soccer team. I think God understands, which I'm pretty sure God had no problem with that. So things like that, judgments like that. So just kind of allow this rose to collect up any of those kind of judgments. Just let it absorb those judgments, any of those judgments from church officials. And then I want you to explode that rose. Keep on exploding that rose till it's gone. Good. And next, I want you to create a rose for any spiritual or church parishioners, just people that say they were spiritual, or people from a church in which you felt judgment from. So just create a rose out for people that were going to the church, or people that were a part of the spiritual community that you felt judgment from. So people can feel all kinds of judgment from people in a spiritual community. They can feel like, oh, maybe my clothing isn't as nice when I'm at church, or, oh, I'm not perfect and they think I need to be perfect. And FYI, nobody's perfect. People try to be, but they're not. So if you felt any of that kind of judgment, like, oh, I'm not good enough, or, oh, I smoked pot in my past and here I'm at church and they're judging me for that, any of that judgment from the people in the community, and it doesn't have to be a church community. There's lots of kind of hippie spiritual communities that also have their judgment. It could be a yoga community that you're not wearing the right outfit for that, or it could be you could even flick the drug thing along and people could judge you for not doing drugs. Judgment is a pretty free form thing. There's lots of people that are really judgy out there in lots of different spiritual communities, and we are trying to release that judgment out of our space. So just allow any of those people's energy too. If there's any of that judgy people energy in your body, in your aura, just allow that energy to flow over to that rose as well. Any of the events where people were judging you, just have those events flow over to the rose, just those spiritual, judgy events. And then I want you to explode that rose. Just keep exploding it till it's gone. Good. Give yourself a big gold sun. And next, what I want you to do is kind of imagine a screen out in front of you, a big movie screen. And on that screen, I want you to put a yes and a no rose. Just one rose is yes and one rose is no. And create like a gold line from each of those roses to God, to the Supreme Being. And what I want you to do is sometimes other people, so you just leave those roses on the screen for a second. I'm going to talk for a second. So sometimes people have done something, and not saying you necessarily have, but sometimes people have done something that they themselves are very judgmental of. They're like, man, that was really shitty that I did that thing. I feel really bad about that. And they know in their hearts that it was not a cool thing that they did. And sometimes people have a very hard time forgiving themselves. And they feel like they could have done better. And I'm not saying that they shouldn't have. Maybe there was something ethical that they did that they just know is wrong, and they're not ready to forgive themselves. And I find overall that a lot of times people are less forgiving of themselves than the Supreme Being is. So what we're going to do is just kind of allow your yes-no rose, just kind of test it first. Go, okay, my name is so-and-so. Is that true? Yes or no? And just see if it's true. See if it's working. Okay, yes, my yes-no rose is working. The person giving this meditation right now is Kawena Charlot. Is that true or false? And so hopefully your yes-no roses are working. And then now I want you to think of that event, if you have one, that you are having a hard time forgiving yourself for. And I want you to ask Supreme Being, ask God, whatever word, the God of your heart, whatever word you want to use. Ask Supreme Being if you have permission, if it's okay, if you're ready to forgive yourself. Not if you're ready, because it's not really about you being ready. Sometimes people need permission. So just go, do you think it's time for me to forgive myself? And if you get a yes with that, then I want you to create a golden sun over your head. And I want you to write the word forgiveness on it. And I want you to tip that golden sun over and really fill yourself in with that energy of forgiveness. Good. And then next, I want you to create another sticky rose and just tell it to only stick to, you've shaken a lot of loose in your space now. So I want you to ask to create that sticky rose and have it only stick to judgment pictures that the family or church or community threw at you. And just run that rose through your space and collect any of those pictures that you got shaken loose as we blew these roses today. And explode that rose. And next, I want you to create a havingness gauge for being worthy of experiencing joy. I want you to ground that gauge, and I want you to start raising your havingness for being worthy of having joy. Now, if I just straight on said, create a havingness for joy, the opposite of joy is usually what comes out, which is a lot of ick, a lot of pain, a lot of non-havingness of joy. So we're kind of working around that topic, since we already released a number of energy in other areas, and we're giving yourself the idea that you're worth it. It's okay. You are worthy of joy. So just raise your happiness for that, being worthy of joy. It'll allow you to bring more of that in. Send that gauge off, explode it, give yourself a gold sun. And next, I want you to create a happiness gauge for being worthy of spiritual connection. And just raise your happiness for that worth of spiritual connection from the Supreme Being. Good. Send that gauge off. Next, create a happiness gauge for being open to love and support from the Supreme Being. And ground that gauge and raise it. And as you raise it, you might want to give that a bunch of amusement. Let's give that gauge a whole lot of amusement. As you raise it, even just raising it a little is going to be a lot. And as you raise it, just kind of notice any little pictures that are holding the gauge down, and explode them, and raise it up, and notice little pictures holding it down, and explode it, and raise it up, and keep on raising that gauge higher and higher. And then send that gauge off and explode it. And then next, just create a gold line from Supreme Being to the top of your head, your crown chakra. And ask Supreme Being just to give you a healing on whatever you need next for your awareness and your spiritual steps. Great. Give yourself a nice, beautiful golden sun. Really fill in your head and your face and your neck and your shoulders and your chest and your pelvis, your legs. When you're all filled in, tap your legs, tip your head over, shake it out, and come on out of trance. Thank you guys for joining me in today's meditation. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.